Dr. Govindappa Venkataswamy was 58 when he founded Aravind. When it first started, the hospital had 11 beds. Its mission was the eradication of needless blindness. Today, it is the largest and most productive eye care facility in the world.
See, McDonald's concept is simple. They feel they can train people all over the world, irrespective of different religions, different culture, different all those things, to produce a product in the same way and deliver it in the same manner in hundreds of places.
There are now 5 Aravind Eye Hospitals in South India. They are all self-sustaining, and together they see over 1.4 million patients and perform over 200,000 sight-restoring surgeries each year. 2/3 of its services are free. At Aravind, every patient who can pay covers costs for 2 who cannot. Because of their high numbers, the revenue from paying patients not only covers costs for Aravind's free services, but also generates a surplus that funds all growth and expansion. All the hospitals send medical teams into the villages. Patients requiring surgery are brought back to the base hospital, where they receive food, lodging, treatment, and return transport completely free of charge. Close to 50% of all the patients Aravind treats are sought out and brought back to the hospital through these screening eye camps.
And I don't insist upon that man must pay me before I do anything for him. I said, give the sight man, let him give whatever he can give. If he cannot afford, doesn't matter, he can give later. So priority is for human welfare.
The paramedical team at Aravind forms the backbone of the system. These young women are recruited from villages around Madurai and are trained in refraction testing, ward and theatre duty, counselling and housekeeping.
They had so much of respect to the patient, and they were willing to do any type of work for the patient. And they were also willing to share with us in the dream of the hospital. That is how our program started. So from 1976 onwards till today, every year we take about 100 girls from the village.
Four highly trained paramedics assist each doctor, thus optimizing the surgeon's time and skill. In this way, a doctor at Aravind averages over 2,000 surgeries a year, against a national average of 220.
Doctors are not paid extra because they are doing more operation. But the other way it helps also. Ours is a teaching institution. The more patients are there, the better the training can be.
We all know ophthalmologists are a premium in this country. We are only 10,000 to 11,000 ophthalmologists for a billion population. So we have to be much more productive to meet the demands of the people. So, and Aravind has pioneered a system that helps us to do high volume work. And I think it's a work in progress. We have reached probably 40-50% of what one could do.
My name is Willie Smith. I'm an Indonesian, formerly Dutch. I've been living in Indonesia for the last 30 years. I've worked in scientific research on tropical forests. I've worked in nature conservation. More recently, I established the Borneo Orangutan Survival Foundation and several other NGOs in Indonesia. I've been involved with that 100% of my time.
In a nutshell, he's trying to save the world. And that sounds really like, don't exaggerate or whatever. No, he's actually trying to save the world.
It's very inspirational work that he's doing. He's not only tackling one of the biggest environmental problems facing the planet at the moment, but also has developed an incredibly powerful and inspiring solution to it.
You take orangutan out of the wild, the forest collapses. The forest collapses, that's linked up to our air, the air that we breathe, the water system that creates our weather, that's linked up to the survival of the forest and many other species. Saving the orangutan is urgent because it's linked up to saving our own lives.
I think he will probably have saved more than a couple of thousand orangutans.
He couldn't do that by just providing rehabilitation centers, but needed to actually do something about the deforestation and the destruction that was going on around there.
And funny enough, all due to links to products that we use every day. Palm oil is a big problem. That's one of the reasons the rainforest is being cut down.
Using knowledge that he's gained from the orangutans themselves, he's found ways now to actually rebuild the forest and create a new economy for the people actually living there.
Local people will make sure that the rainforest will stay there.
We're finally understanding, after hundreds of years of research, how important the environment is to life. All of these things come together, you have a new way of looking at the world.
If people get to know more about Willie Smith, that they will think differently about these projects. He means business, really.
Veronica Koza, creator of Neighborhood Medical Assistance Network, Mamelodi, South Africa. 300,000 South Africans die of AIDS every year, most of them in appalling conditions, as witnessed by this nurse at the very beginning of the epidemic.
It was for my first time to see somebody with all the shingles and sores in the mouth, and he was emaciated, and I just said, oh, if HIV does this to people, then I don't know what I'm going to do.
In the 1990s, Veronica decided to organize the inhabitants of poor neighborhoods in the capital to care for patients with no health insurance. Thanks to this simple approach she's developed, 4,000 volunteers come to patients' bedsides every day to give them their medicine, wash them, change them, feed them, and help keep up their morale.
Our going in, coming in into the home where there was an HIV patient, touching that person, talking to that person, feeding that person, it made a big change.
10 years of effort were required to implement this one-of-a-kind organization, now subsidized by the state.
What was amazing again was the way I had strength to fight with anybody that I felt was responsible for health and they were not listening to me. At some times, I used to stand on top of their tables, being uninvited in their meetings.
The approach has now been adopted on a national level to help patients suffering from long-term illnesses. So, are you ready to apply this model in your neighborhood?
Yeah, it's the attitude, let's style it, kids. Let's give it love. New generation. 1, 2, 3, go! 1, 2, 3, go! 1, 2, 3, go! Right, I think we're right.
Um, 15 has achieved dramatic change for a large proportion, if not most of them or all of them, of the students that have been through, you know, whether it's Amsterdam, Cornwall or here in London. 10 years in, those initial graduates are now, you know, fairly senior in incredible restaurants. And their role in the kind of circle of 15 and new students. So they're starting to take on new students for work experience and mentoring as well. So that's brilliant. I mean, I guess what it's failed to do is, work within, government or any other sort of areas to sort of, as a device to get more people, even more towns and more areas sort of doing it. And I have to raise, 20 times 30 to 25 grand a year to pay for my students. And most of our students do come from the parole service or, from prison often. But the cost to a child in jail is phenomenal. It's like, 80 to 100 grand plus, another 20, 30 grand of sort of other costs. And, as far as sort of like 25 and under, they're sort of reoffending often, within the first couple of years. So I think what we do is very particular, and it's definitely about empowering people, giving them options, but also it's more than that. It is love and passion, and I know it sort of sounds a little bit sort of romantic, but I think that trying to get people to see why you love something. Why would you want to get up on this cold morning and do a 14-hour shift?
My name's John Whitehead. I'm the Director of the British Council here in Germany. It's a great pleasure for me this evening to welcome you to this event.
So the reason why the British Council is organising this event together with the Asia Europe Foundation is because social entrepreneurship, I think, now has a real opportunity in Europe to address some of the big challenges, for example, youth unemployment.
From my experience, social enterprise can help to build a sustainable economy because it's looking both at a social perspective, dealing with a big social issue, as well as also ensuring that there are financial results, positive financial results.
My sense is that social enterprise should be seen as a way of mobilizing people towards the global agenda.
Social entrepreneurship tries to question the existing system and takes risks. And if it can be working in tandem with government as well as big business, then it certainly can do this at scale.
Social enterprises are needs-driven. Therefore, the need in a country like Bangladesh cannot be the same as in any European country. But the basis is the same. You address a need in the society.
What the Berlin Policy Dialogue has shown to me very clearly is, for one, the diversity in social enterprises all over Europe and Asia, but that some of the problems in financing, in legal regulations and so are very common to all.
So I think there's a lot of lessons to learn. And I think yesterday we went on a visit to the Social Innovations Lab, which I thought was fantastic. So inspirational to see young people, responding to the needs of the society and thinking differently.
It just makes sense from a national development perspective, but also from a business perspective, to have organizations that have the social and environmental mission as part of, the very way they practice business.
What we hope to establish by this dialogue is to see the diversity where we can learn from each other, from different examples, and what can governments do to ensure that social enterprises can thrive throughout Europe and throughout Asia.
We have an opportunity to continue on that account in the informal conversation outside tonight. And I thank our hosts, our co-hosts, the British Council and the Asia and Europe Foundation. Enjoy the evening. Thank you very much.